Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching A Healthy Alternative. Today, we're going to be outlining 5 steps to eliminate meat from your diet.
We're missing a piece of the puzzle. You start getting healthy and you just become a better person. You need to start focusing more on the individual.
Okay, so for those of you who have followed me for a while now, you know that I advocate for eliminating meat from your diet. Now, with that being said, there's a lot that goes into my reasoning for why I think that we should all eliminate or greatly reduce how much meat we intake. But for those of you who are interested in attempting to or looking to completely eliminate meat from their diet, I figured I'd outline a few steps that may help you along your way. The first step to eliminating meat from your diet is to educate yourself, okay? This is an important step that I think a lot of people miss, or they get really hyped. They'll watch something like What the Health or Cowspiracy, and it'll make them want to just jump on this bandwagon, but they don't really have a deep understanding of why they're doing it. It's all very emotional and spontaneous. So when I'm talking about educating yourself, the first thing I want to do is I want you to really look into whether or not human beings need protein to survive, right? Because that's like one of the main points. A lot of the people who eat, carnivore diets or meat diets, they talk about protein being, something that we have to have in order to be a healthy human being and to thrive. And one of the things I did was I went and looked at individuals who didn't eat meat at all. And so I just wanted to look at from, start to finish through their journey, what they experienced, ups and downs, etc. And what I found was that there was a small handful of people who claimed to have issues due to, not eating meat or not eating, animal products. But the mass majority of people I looked at had absolutely no issues at all. Now, obviously, everyone is different. And there's a lot of people who claim that, you have to eat based on your genes and your blood type and things of that nature. I don't know about all that, but I do know that the mass majority of people have been successful completely eliminating meat from their diet as well as other animal products. And I'm one of those people. Now, I'm a big proponent of practicing what I preach and experimentation. So, I think it's absurd that we believe that we have to eat animal protein in order to be healthy, especially when you look at the different creatures like cows and gorillas and things like that don't eat meat at all. And then we claim that we have to consume them, not gorillas, but cows, to get something that we're missing, but they get everything they need from plants. So obviously there's a lot of science that disagrees with that statement. Once again, there's science that agrees with that statement. There's always two sides to every argument, and I'm not really here to make one argument or the other. But I think that educating yourself is, probably the first step to making yourself feel comfortable with the process. Also understanding what the opposite side is going to say or what they're going to kind of come at you with when you tell people, hey, I've decided that I'm not going to eat meat anymore. It's really good to have an understanding and be prepared. And that way you don't really feel flustered when people start kind of like poking holes in what you're trying to do, right? You've got a good understanding of what it is. You've heard the arguments before, so it's not a shock to you, and it doesn't make you feel uneasy about your decision. Okay, so the second step to eliminating meat from your diet would be to reduce frequency that you ingest meat. And this is really very simple. What I actually did was I started off by doing a meatless month. Now, you don't have to start off with a meatless month, but I think that for me, it was very impactful because I got an opportunity to see what my body did in that month, how it changed, how I felt. And honestly, it was amazing. From that point forward, I always was like, I'm always going to, at the very least, reduce how much meat I eat because I had seen such amazing improvements in my wellness in that month. One of the things that I noticed is that I was able to start burning fat in places that, were like problematic for me. And so that really piqued my interest. And then in addition to that, I just felt better. My stomach didn't feel all full and heavy all the time. And it was fun playing with new recipes and learning new recipes. That side of it also just made the whole process more enjoyable for me. So you can start by doing a meatless month, right? If you're going to commit to a meatless month, do the meatless month. Don't just say you're going to do it, even though it's not realistic for you. When I finished my meatless month, I always told myself and others, I said, I'm not going to eat as much meat, but I'm definitely not giving up my steak. Okay, that's where I was at the time, and I was eating steak once a week at that time. So I didn't. I still continued to eat my steak once a week, and on occasions I'd have other meats or whatever. But I did greatly reduce how much meat I was ingesting. I would suggest that you just go inside yourself and decide, hey, I can go 2 weeks or I can go a week without eating meat. Whatever that period of time is, choose it, stick to it. That's important. Okay. Now, once you've completed that first week or month or whatever it is you've chosen, evaluate your body. 1 week might not be enough time to see a difference. You might have to do it several times, but evaluate your body, how you feel. Make sure you're journaling and documenting this whole process as you go. It'll help you along the way. Once you've done that, then I would go ahead and start looking at reducing frequency on a daily basis. So, if you eat meat 3 times a day, meaning you eat 3 meals and each meal you eat has meat, reduce it down to 1 or 2 meals a day. Okay. That's just a baby step, right? But be intentional about it. Meaning that if, you decide you're only going to have 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day of meat, and then, at work today, they do Taco Tuesday, and you're like, all right, well, I'm going to have a taco today. That means you've eliminated one of the meals you can have meat with for the rest of the day, right? Don't allow yourself to succumb to the environment and social aspects of things, thinking, oh, it's okay, I'll just do it this one time. That's a slippery slope. So whatever you commit to, be committed to it, and then make the adjustments necessary so that you can, fulfill that promise you made to yourself. And then slowly but surely just reduce how much meat you're eating. And this is your journey. Take as long as you want. You could take a 3-month process where you're just reducing how much meat you eat to the point where you only have meat with 1 meal a week or whatever. Okay, so the next step would be to limit portion sizes. Okay, so step 3 to eliminating meat from your diet is just to limit your portion sizes. Now, with step 2, I mentioned reducing meat, the frequency at which you eat meat. This one is eliminating how much meat you ingest when you do eat meat. Okay, so once again, just a baby step, and that's really how that's how you deal with food addiction in general. And, a lot of these things, whether you want to create lifestyle changes to your diet, you want to take baby steps, and you want to make the steps easily attainable. Okay. You don't want to create steps that you're not going to achieve. That's pointless. And so what I would say is, if you typically have 2 pieces of chicken, for a meal or whatever it may be, reduce it to 1 piece of chicken, right? Or if you eat 2 whole chicken breasts, reduce it to a chicken breast and a half, or whatever the case may be. But slowly but surely start limiting how much you eat when you do eat. And then as you get to the end of that process, you really can get to the point where it's like, oh, okay, you only eat meat when you're out, right? So one of the things I did was as I kind of took these baby steps, I got to a point where I just wasn't buying meat. Because at first I was buying the high quality meat, right? So after my first meatless month, I did switch to buying the high quality meat, which was definitely more expensive. Oddly enough, I did see a major difference between the high quality meat and the low quality meat. So for those of you who have never, made that switch, it is a noticeable difference in the quality of the meat. And that helped me out a lot. But then, of course, that was kind of expensive. And because it was more expensive, but I kind of become accustomed to eating it, it helped me to reduce the frequency at which I was eating it, and then the portion sizes. And then it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I won't buy it anymore. I'll only eat it if I'm in a situation where I'm out. If I don't have any, plant-based options that I'm really feeling, then I'll have some meat, a light meat plate or whatever. But taking these baby steps helped me out a lot. Okay, so the 4th step to eliminating meat from your diet is empathy. And this one I didn't want to highlight too much because there's a negative connotation associated with vegans and, how aggressive they can be when they're kind of preaching to people about the safety of animals and the wellness of animals. But that's also not to be downplayed because it is an important aspect of this journey. Now, me personally, I like to focus on the health aspect of it, right? Eating a large amount of meat with your meals is just not good for a human being, regardless of what people will tell you. But also you have to think you're ingesting a creature, right? So one of the things that helped me was I was actually researching kosher, how kosher products are manufactured, and they were talking about the kosher butchering of cows, and watching that documentary, which actually wasn't like like a animal based document. It was literally just talking about how kosher products are manufactured. And I got to see kosher butchering, and it broke my heart, if I'm being honest. Seeing the cows, you could see the expressions on their faces in the documentary. You could tell that they were aware of what was about to take place. It talked about how some of the animals tried to commit suicide by ramming their heads into gates, and some animals had actually, I guess, were able to kill themselves. But they knew what was about to happen to them, and they didn't want that to happen. And it was just like a light bulb went off, and I'm like, yo, these animals aren't just, stupid animals. They don't just react by instinct. Like when you rip their babies away, when you rape them, when you give them drugs, when you kill them, they're aware of everything that's going on. And with kosher butchering, you're not allowed to give them any type of anesthetic or anything like that. You have to use a razor blade. You slit their throat. You let them bleed out. It's a very, very horrific experience to see, I think. And so that helped me out a lot. It was like the nail in the coffin for me, because my focus was my own personal health. But if in the process of me being healthier, I can subsist better with nature and really look towards having a more symbiotic relationship, that was definitely a big plus for me. And so, I gained an appreciation for animals that I didn't have before, and to the point where I appreciate all animals, even insects, that we all kind of just squash or whatever. So that's also an important part, but maybe that's later on down the road. It doesn't necessarily have to be the focus for you. For some vegans, or for most vegans, it is, but it is an important part. So keep that in mind. Now, the last step to eliminating meat from your diet is actually just to decide that you're done. Okay. Take a year, go through these processes, educate yourself, reduce how much you eat, reduce the frequency at which you eat, look into the animal aspect of things, have empathy for the creatures. But at the end of the day, at some point in time, you have to decide you're not going to eat it anymore. I was at the store the other day, and I wanted to make pancakes, and I usually make pancakes without eggs, obviously. But this time around, I wanted to improve the texture and the quality of my pancake. And I was literally in the store, and I'm just like, man, should I get some eggs? Because like for those of you who follow me, I've actually completely stopped buying meat, and animal products. I don't purchase them. And the only time I will actually have like something like egg is if it's baked into bread or something like that. I won't actually purchase eggs. I won't get scrambled eggs or anything like that. But I do realize that with my diet, there's a lot of things that will have like egg product in it. And I was just considering it because I'm like, man, it would be healthier if I made it at home. You know what I mean? And I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that, because number one, I want to be a man of my word. And like I said earlier, practice what I preach. And number two, there's always an alternative to what we consider, some invaluable animal product. So I use this, I don't remember the brand name, maybe Bob Mills. It was like this egg replacement flour, is like gluten-free and vegan or whatever. It was just like a flour. And I'm like, man, I've done a lot of cooking, baking breads and things like that without eggs. So it makes sense that we can get a similar texture or whatever without having it. And I made the pancakes, and they were marvelous. Like, I really enjoyed the pancakes. So, you just got to make a decision that you're not going to do it. You're not going to eat it anymore. And then look for the alternatives. And it might take you a while to find things you really like and enjoy. And, we're used to cooking a certain way. Our moms cooked a certain way. Our grandmas cooked a certain way, or whatever, our parents. And so it might take a little learning, but make the decision that you want better health. Make the decision that you would rather not be a part of the system that, pretty much enslaves animals and rapes them and tortures them and just all kinds of brutal things. I mean, if you're not familiar with that, definitely get familiar with it, but learn about that. And you don't want to be a part of it anymore. And then look for the alternatives. So, our country is a very consumer-driven country. If we decide we're not going to eat or partake in something, then those industries fail. They fall off, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so you do have control and power in that sense that your purchases make You know, it either contributes to something or it doesn't. And so, yeah, let's be wise about that. So anyway, that's really all there is to it. For those of you who do eat meat, I have nothing against you. You know, I'm not extreme about it at all. And once again, for me, it's more or less about the health benefits of it. If you do eat meat, I would recommend that you look at reducing your meat intake. And if you've never tried, you know, going a meatless month or whatever, you may want to look into it, because it makes you feel a lot better. I've been meatless for a year and a half now. Like I said, I on occasion will get like probably some egg product in bread or something that I consume, but I make most of my food at home, and I don't eat out as nearly as much as I used to. So it's, you know, the amount that I'm getting is it's drastically cut, and you know, I'm all the healthier for it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, the application of knowledge is power, and I'll see you all next time.